So what is this? Well, like, explain.
So visually, this is. Oh, look at one of these. Visually, this is how you said a brand doesn't layer.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you were to explain that to a client, how would they see it working together?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because if you said to a client, okay, so this is your brand, you've got your kind of your golden circle there, and then you've got all these different elements that come off in different scales and sizes,
Yeah.
right?
Because that's the thing, right? I don't think everyone is like. I think there's no surface level really. It's just experiencing different things around it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
And also, yeah, so you've got like different values of importance of how big or how
So do
far
they come in
away
contact with the
from it.
values first? Do they come in contact with the personality first? Which way do they contact it with? Right? So
And well, it's an interesting point because it could be anywhere around here. So you could read a blog, for example, and then get led into exposure to everything else. You could see the website. That's an interesting way, but for me, it's too messy for clients to understand.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So how you start saying, well, this is messaging, and this here is these are your value, your whys in the middle, what you do and how you do it, and then you've got all the different touch points, and your brand attributes and everything are all part of that. But for me, you kind of a visual way of actually doing it works something
This
like
is
this.
better for the client, right?
For them
That's
to
what I'm
understand,
saying.
yeah, a way of them getting an idea. This pen's terrible. And what I've seen done is that you start with, say for example, either the positioning, and then you go into what the mission statement is, or the brand vision,
Right.
however, which then feeds into the overarching positioning, so each one of these becomes your values. So, and there could be as many as you like in here. So it could be 4, it could be 6. So you've got your positioning, your mission statement, that then feeds into your brand values. There can be and different layers that can be.
I see. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Then when it goes out of this into, for example, your proposition, and then that then feeds into. Then for me, this is the way I.
That's interesting. They really like things organized. I know it. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's very important to do that.
So what I then do is I then look at, these are all your deliverables. So this becomes all this.
Yep.
So actually one of these would be your messaging framework as well. So after you've identified your goal, your vision, your mission into your values, then you'd go into your messaging framework, and then your proposition, then into all your deliverables. So this would be your website, your website, your business card, your stationery, all the different deliverables. And the way that I show it is that step by step, and then talk through each, and this is how it starts to layer and become a structure. And then once you've got all this, and all of this feeds into here, which becomes your value proposition, which then feeds into each deliverable. Once that all happens, and I highlight this area and say, that's when you get consistency.
Boom.
And that's one way of doing it.
It's boxing. Yeah, no. I mean,
But like I say, it's a regimented way
it is.
to get them to understand. We might perceive it like that because we understand that.
Exactly.
But to get a client to, you have to go step by step.
I understand that. Yeah.
So, like I say, that's not mine. That's just the way that I've seen it being done.
No, but I understand the reasoning behind it. But I do kind of want to get the client to think that it is supposed to be messy. It's supposed to be.
Well, the interesting
something.
thing is, so we believe that a brand can grow and evolve over time. It's like a personality.
Exactly.
And like in the brand gap, he talks about your brand can be like a person. It can wear its formal attire. It can wear its casual attire, right? If we believe that and we see it, then you are right, because this evolves and changes. This can, have different elements that come out. And this could change over time. This could become more important. This could become larger.
Right.
You can't do that here. This isn't flexible. But
That's the whole point. Yeah.
So we understand it like that, but we display it to a client potentially like that.
Yeah. No.
So
That's good though.
But yeah, I thought that was something to share because it's just a
It
way
is
that
much.
the way that I look at it.
Yeah. Way to present to clients. Way to present to us, basically.
The way we see it.
This is how we see it. Yeah. And it's a huge mess. Yeah, but. it's hard to say that because it's like, wait, what if it's a huge mess? That's bad, right? No, it's not.
That's the thing.
It's not that bad.
And that brings you back to the chaos.
Yeah. Shameless plug right here, guys. Oh my god.
But yeah, so that's what we're talking about. You know, there's a lot of elements, there's a lot of moving mechanisms and parts. How do we get somebody to understand that, and also how do we perceive it? But the 5 steps that you were talking about are really interesting because each one of those fed into.
I probably forgot one of the other steps, but like it's probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But other than that, that's exactly what it is. It's the why, and then everything branches around it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Which is cool. I believe in that. Like I said, that one client I spoke to, and I said, why do you get out of bed every morning? Why do you do what you do? And what is the one thing that summarises the business? And for a funeral director to turn around and just say, comfort, I fell off my chair. You know, they understood their brand in one word straight away. It's what we do. We offer comfort. It was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
so Simon Sinek was like way ahead of everybody with branding, man. Like,
yeah. He saw the consistency in successful organisations and the value in that and what common traits they had. Which is amazing because when we're reading the book, I've lost the book. I need to go and buy it.
You lost the book.
I've lost the book.
Oh my god.
I've loaned it out to somebody and I can't remember. I've asked everybody, but I've got to go back and get another copy. But it was a really good book. As I was reading it, and I was coming across each one of the brands as they were showing the case studies. I was amazed. You know, it's like that. Like, oh my god, I've known it. You know, no one's really pointed it out before. That's why I interact with them. That's why I love that brand.
Yep. And I feel like the human race started with why, really, you know, why do this? Why put things together to make fire? Why, you know,
exactly.
Try to figure out if electricity works. Why? You know, it's all.
There's a purpose. There's a reason, and it can be narrowed down, like you know, into quite a short statement.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's interesting to see that actually that I didn't visually see it like that until you pointed it out. But it's good to have a visual representation of things.
Oh, it is, because God, branding is like a monster. It is. If you understand it, you know, it's farther than going after just pretty things in design. It's an amazing. You get deep into human nature as well too, right?
Yeah. I've interestingly enough, I found hand in hand the more I delve into strategy and the like branding, essentially the more so like the more Joseph talks about the spiritual side of things,
right.
The more personal development I do at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when you start challenging why, how, the existence, why do you do what you do, all those things, tie to a brand, but they also personal branding in terms of why do I do this? Why do I enjoy doing this? Am I passionate about it? Like we were talking earlier when I said the one thing that I realised my skill was I'm an enabler. I love being the guy that lines up the shop for the experts that specialise in certain areas. So I love being able to, I get satisfaction at helping people do what they're great at. So that's what I want to do strategy. I want to help businesses develop brands. I want to help creatives, give them the support and all the right information, the direction to do what they do best without any stress. Because I've been a frustrated
That's the
designer.
thing, right? Because creativity is like, you say it's like, oh, it's supposed to be unstructured. But you can actually, like with strategy, you can actually structure the way to get there even better, even faster.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of eliminating all that noise and then just focusing on what really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because like art directors and creative directors that work on creative conception for ideas and campaigns. So I was fortunate enough to work under a couple of creative directors, very talented. I got to work with them for a period of time. And the way they view it is that you've got to be comfortable getting lost in the woods. You walk out there into the woods and you get completely lost and you just follow this path and maybe that's not working, so you follow that path and you follow that path and follow that path. And they make it sound very creative, very airy-fairy, that you're out exploring ideas, which is what a true creative does, right?
Yeah.
But what they didn't talk about is their actual process. So not only are they walking down these different paths and going, okay, I'll try that way, that's not working, I'll try that way, and that actually those two are similar, so they become one road. And what they were doing were grouping and creating this framework of their ideas whilst they structured it.
Right.
They talk about this chaotic idea of creativity, but then they actually had an amazing roadmap of how to structure their ideas into routes, into different concepts and themes, and then bring them together and go, okay, that theme's working well, here's the different ways we can execute it, that has more legs, so we're going to drive that as a creative idea.
Exactly.
And do a campaign based on that. So you've got this, what the structure does is gives you a field to play in, and an area to focus in, rather than going out there blind and going, okay, I'm going to go and try and do as much of this in a small amount of time. When time's restricted, that structure just helps hone it in. And I think that's exactly what strategy does leading up to the creative process. But those guys are kind of, they're strategists in their own right, to be honest. They understand the full understanding of understanding the customer, the structure, the hierarchy that goes in behind it. But they're actually sell themselves as through creatives. They just have all that in the back burner, and you watch the way they work, it is very structured.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, the one great thing they did say to me is you have to be comfortable getting lost in the woods. And what they meant by it, and they gave me a good example, they said that sometimes we could be 40 minutes before a pitch, 40 minutes before we have to deliver a pitch, and we've got nothing. Right? We've got
That's the worst situation.
absolutely nothing. And he said, and do you know what? You'll see us sometimes in that situation, and do you know what we'll be doing? Like, no. We'll spend maybe 25 minutes of that time on YouTube watching funny cat videos. I'm like, what? And this is the true meaning of being comfortable getting lost in the woods.
Oh, it's incredible.
25 minutes.
So let the building burn and just you watching YouTube videos.
And clear your mind. And they went, you've got to trust the process. They have a process.
It is, yeah. You have to trust it.
And they said, we'll spend the next 15 minutes knocking out the best campaign you've ever seen, and we'll scamp it out, the concept, the ideas, what's important, and we'll deliver and pitch that idea, and probably win it. And that is truly being comfortable in the unknown and having trust in the process.
Exactly, because there are a lot of things you can't control, in life and in the process, right?
Yeah,
You don't know what ideas are going to come out. You just have to accept that there is no control in that process. At least the ideation process, there is no control of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a natural, organic thing. You can't, you can't force creativity, and I think that's areas where potentially I did struggle when I tried to force it, and go, oh wow, I've got one day to deliver this campaign, and I've got to try and consider all these things, and there wasn't the right build up to it or framework to put it into place,
Right.
and it dies on its arse. I just can't do it. Like, I can't, be that creative under pressure. Whereas these guys can have 40 minutes left, and they've just blown 2 days, and gone, we've got nothing, and let's still watch funny cat videos and have a giggle. And that just clears their mind.
That's confidence, man.
Yeah, they're very good at what they do. Very good at what they do. I was fortunate enough to work with them, and they taught me a lot. So it was really cool.
Experience, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, it brings me back to another thought actually, which was that the idea of should you do university or college or go straight out there and do it yourself. And the one thing that I've done is effectively tried to do all three. So I tried to work for myself before I was in uni. Went to uni, got trained on the tools, came out, didn't get a job, set up on my own and started working for myself. Now I did all right, and it really, but I didn't have the business acumen. And I was so spread thin across everything that I was trying to do. I was charging really cheap as well. I was like pennies. I literally didn't have the business acumen to make it profitable. I was literally just covering the rent. and just getting by, breaking in. But I was doing what I loved, so there was no business acumen
Right.
behind
But
it.
at a point, you just are like, I need to know what the business of this is, right?
So
It's gonna change. Like, otherwise, I'm gonna become a commodity.
yeah,
It's over.
yeah, and one massive thing that really prepped me for it was that I then moved to London. I was still free, like self-employed, pretty much, and I couldn't afford to live here whilst maintaining that lifestyle. That I was still at home. My mum's working out of a shed in the garden, and I had the setup, and I just didn't have the experience. I had everything I needed to get things going. I didn't have no funding or experience. I had everything else: time, no pressure. I just needed to cover rent and enough to have a few.
The beauty of like design and freelance is just that you can start up without any need of anything at all. You just have your mind and your skills.
Yeah.
You can just go in and do it.
Yeah, that's it. Because what we're selling is intangible.
Yeah.
The only thing
Incredible
we invest time and exactly that. Like you said, your knowledge. But I wouldn't be able to do what I do now back then. So I think you're well ahead of the curve in terms of where I was just going through uni.
Yeah.
I had no idea of strategy back then,
Yeah.
like, at all, in the slightest. So having that would have made a massive difference, and also the exposure that we have now, through the group and learning from other people's experiences and learning the business side, which is massively important.
Right.
But what going into the industry did for me, and actually working for in-house and then working for an agency, that really did put me, give me exposure to so many different areas, different types of information, and how organisations structure and organise things and do things. That really helps for where I am. Like now, I wouldn't,
course, yeah.
without knowing that, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
I would say it's also a struggle still, since I have no experience. But I'll figure it out. I'll always figure things out.
Yeah, I think that's
The only thing I know is just figure things out. It's my entire life.
yeah. I think that's an interesting approach that'll serve you really well, because what you've already said in terms of invoicing, how to onboard clients, how to get them in, how to actually sell them and get their trust, because there's trust is a massive thing.
How do you describe like branding to people? Because like I find it hard to explain branding to people, especially when I'm at networking meetings. I have no clue how to talk to people about branding. Like I say, connect customers together, but that doesn't sound right. Like I don't know how to do it, and it always comes out exoteric, because it's like I have so much to tell you. Like how can I sum it up?
Yeah, it is really hard. The first thing that you do, which is similar to Brand Gap, is that you try and get rid of the misconception straight away.
Right.
It's not your logo, it's not your website, it's not your business card.
Of course.
We'll have that discussion first. I'll ask them. What do you?
But how would you
what
do that in an
you
elevator pitch? That's the whole point here. Like it's very hard to do that, especially like if you're just talking to someone's like, what do you do? Boy, it's gonna take a while.
Well, the way I summarise it is that my job is to make life easier for your customers.
That's interesting.
If I make life easier for your customers, they'll have a better purchase experience or an experience with your company. They'll come back. It will build loyalty. That will in turn build your brand. It will build it goes towards your goals and objectives. You'll grow as a business from that, and you'll have happy customers. If I can do that one thing for you, irrelevant of how I do it, make their life easier, not yours, their life easier. That's what I say.
Beautiful.
Interesting. The tough part of that is it leaves you with the question, how? Well, how are you going to do that?
Yeah,
It's a big statement to make. I'll make life easy for your customers. Well, how? Or does that even mean anything to anyone? I don't know, but that's what I say. So, and it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, I think that's what I do, because every time I'm looking at a product, we've had a client come in and we ran a workshop with them, and it turned out the product wasn't ready.
Yeah. Ooh.
So the workshop that we come up with, they were going to build an app and do this, and they had an MVP, minimal viable product. Yeah, So they had an MVP of the bare bones structure. So we quickly did some wireframes of the existing structure with them live, and then because it's the way I'm visual, so I'll in meetings I'll take an A3 sketchpad with me,
Right.
and I will, whilst they're talking, I'll be drawing, I'll be doodling, and I'll still be interacting with them, but I'll be actually drawing it out.
That's interesting.
Sometimes I'll have my business partner with me, and he'll be having a discussion, and I'll be sitting there sketching, and they'll be glancing over me, what's he doing, and then
I like that.
I'll
That's
just
interesting.
turn the
Yeah, I've just been using strategy only, like, it's only been set in that framework, and then afterwards I would go and sketch. But I'm interesting to hear that.
yeah.
That you can do that but you probably have to have another partner there to help you out there, because if you just are it's a bit like, okay, wait a second, I'm sketching here.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing I've learned. Never be afraid
Yeah.
to actually, one, sit in silence. Secondly, turn around and say, just hold up a minute, let me just do this 1 second. I'll explain in a minute, but it'll be really valuable.
That's interesting.
And what I do is, I
The
love,
of silence.
like that. I love to draw things out. It's the way I understand it. So if I can
Right,
see
I
it
mean, you're a
visually-
designer first, so I mean, obviously you're gonna think
Yeah.
visual, right?
Yeah. And also a bit of I have a bit of OCD in terms of organisation and structure. You can see a little bit like where I start aligning things, and I do it every day.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I like the coasters. I'll realign them. It's very small, but same thing. I do boxes, and so what I try and do is create a user journey. Whilst people are talking, so they'll explain, we do this, we'll do that, and then we've got our sales guys on Draw Circles, sales team, they feed into that, and I'm constantly doing diagrams, and then I'll literally go, is that right?
Yeah.
Is this how it works? Cool. Okay. Well, visually, if you look at it, you've got a gap here,
Right.
and it's exactly what you're doing with those diagrams. You know, your crosshair diagram where
Yeah, exactly.
you've seen the groupings. I do the same with the customer journey and build like a user X framework. But so I did it with the client there, and then drew boxes, and then there's your home page, and you link to here and you link to there. Your client's going to come from here, and you're going to do that, and you're going to run this marketing. And then I looked at it and was like, well, hang on a minute. If they come from here, how do they know how to use this bit? And you get them to enter, you know. So we found out there were flaws in the product before we even kicked off, which is a massive pain in the arse for us, because one, we didn't get the client, and we need the work, right? We needed the work. We're pitching for a reason. We're investing time and effort.
Exactly.
And this went on for quite a while, that they were like, oh, hang on a minute, let's go back. And they had a big think, and they came up, we had another meeting, and we discussed our thoughts around it. Now we can address that for you, and we'll actually do your whole interface and your user, the actual user journey, and we'll serve that back to you. But it comes with a cost, and it's X amount. And they were like, no, like, do you know what? We're going to go away, we're going to redevelop the product, and then we'll come back when we're done. Great, in one sense, because one, they're going to launch with a better product than they would have started off with. Secondly, they understood the value in what we've done. Bad side is that, well, we didn't get the job. Secondly, we pretty much told them to go away and give them the information of what they needed to do before charging for it. So hopefully we prove a couple of good things that come out of that. We prove value, we give something away for free, and hopefully when they finish the product, they will pick up.
So I hope you enjoyed that two-part series of Ambitions of an Agency and my talk with Paul. It was really a good talk. We learned a lot about, each other, and about, shared experiences about the industry, seeing his side and then seeing my side, and seeing all these business processes. What could we do next? What's our next goal? What can we do to improve our own selves? Through this collaboration, there are big things that can happen. Just through this small collaboration, there are big things that can happen. So yeah, I'll see you next time. If you have any comments or anything, comment below, and I'll see you next time.